We're the top agents from around the world.
Hello guys and gals, me Mudahar, and yesterday one of my best friends on YouTube and in my personal life, Mama Max, has uploaded a video called Pick a Side YouTube, where he covers a 30-minute, sort of expose. Me included was in this video, a bunch of other YouTubers, some of my best friends, Nexpo, Nix Crowley, all these people, us four were homies, we ride or die in this case. This was a situation that unfortunately we are all too familiar with. So let's get started real quickly. In this video, Mama Max was discussing a video he had produced, okay? A video by the name of "He Abused Hundreds of Underage Girls on IMVU. This is what happened to him." So IMVU is a social playground everyone gets into and people interact with one another. Now, where I guess Mama Max had showcased a bit too much revealing skin than what was actually allowed by YouTube systems. Now, to get things going, okay, edgier content on YouTube has unfortunately faced much more scrutiny in the last year than it ever has before. In 2019-2020, I loved covering this kind of content. Unfortunately, alright, as 2021 came by, and even 2022, where I had planned to have a lot more darker content, like I had back in 2019, will face a lot more review by my perspective, okay? This kind of content, because of how YouTube's shifting to a much more family-friendly, much more corporate-friendly environment, making content like that, unfortunately, will lead you to not only be demonetized, which is probably not even that important, at least in my opinion, but what really scares me is the age restrictions and the potential for having channel strikes attributed because of darker content you may cover. If you ever look at content that I make covering this kind of dark stuff, I censor a lot of stuff. I put blurs up the ass. I am very liberally applying blurs all over the screen, simply because I don't want to get a channel strike for covering this kind of content. I like covering this content. I face a channel strike. And at that point, if I upload something that is blatantly against YouTube TOS, I can't complain. I broke the rules. It is what it is. Which is why every time I edit a video like this, I scrub through the timeline. Not once, not twice, not three, sometimes up to 10 fucking times. That's how insane it's gotten to cover this kind of stuff. And even when you get demonetized for covering risque content, it baffles me because YouTube is one of the only places where that actually ever really happens to this degree. A lot of news organizations will cover dark, very, very advertiser-unfriendly material, yet they don't necessarily face the same demonetization that everyone gets. I personally believe anybody that uploads content to YouTube, if you upload advertiser-unfriendly material, if YouTube is going to yellow dolan everyone, they should do it across the board, regardless of channel size, regardless of how much traction or whatever the channel's identity is, whether they're mainstream news or they're independent news. Or if you're going to monetize one side, you should monetize everyone, okay? Either it's advertiser-unfriendly for everyone, or it isn't. But we're going to get to this in a little bit. Max uploaded this video and he had received a strike. He appealed the strike. The appeal basically just got rejected within minutes, from what I understand. This doesn't shock me. Back in the day when I covered the Cash App scam, that video was up doing just fine. One day I received a channel strike and I didn't understand why, to be honest. I didn't promote the scam. I didn't talk about people go. In fact, I educated people to not fall for the scam. Now, we all know that YouTube is primarily monitored, mostly from what it seems, with machine learning algorithms. There's simply so much content uploaded to this website that to have human beings sitting around watching every hour of uploaded content is literally almost impossible to do, okay? So when you have machine learning systems, I want you to think of it like this. When a video is uploaded and completely processed through the system, it is constantly being updated with newer features. Features such as transcripting, which allows YouTube to get sort of a play-by-play of what each word is being spoken in a video. So in this transcript, I believe, from at least what I am speculating right now, YouTube will look through this transcript, find a bunch of trigger words, or find a bunch of strings that maybe are not exactly aligned with a creator-friendly video, or sorry, an advertiser-friendly video. And I guess if more strings are detected, or maybe a video is flagged, and a combination of various factors, a strike can be attributed. Now, of course, YouTube does offer an appeal system. However, the appeal system, like I said earlier, in my case, I literally told them to appeal a 15 to 20 minute video. They did it within a minute. It was obviously nonsensical. Now, again, YouTube, at least the support side, seems to have like a humiliation fetish. So if you have a large enough platform and are able to reach them out there enough to gain some level of attention, you may be able to get this strike overturned. Of course, especially if it's a false nonsense strike to begin with. But even then, that requires that you have a very established audience off platform rather than one right here. And that, of course, needs to be readjusted. Now remember, if YouTube applies a strike to you because you happen to leak personal information, or you did in fact show a nude, like a buttock for whatever reason, then again, it's entirely a strike that can be valid. Now that's not to count the fact that YouTube does in fact have nudity on its platform. For instance, if you type in naked yoga or anything of that nature, you will find videos on YouTube, of course, definitely age restricted for the most part, containing actual nude material. Again, the difference is what is considered sexually charged and what isn't. Now, of course, back to the entire idea of strikes being applied, there are plenty of other creators that have faced similar issues. So let's go down the gauntlet. Bring here had uploaded a Smash Brothers Yoshi montage, where they uploaded years ago. They had actually gotten it striked because they were glorifying criminal organizations. And when you get a channel strike for glorifying a criminal organization, in some cases, YouTube will outright, because way back when the adpocalypse has happened, this was actually one of the biggest issues YouTube had faced. A lot of people would upload terrorist content, sometimes have it advertisers running on it, and YouTube was then thrown under the bus. They had to immediately react this way or face more public scrutiny. Unfortunately, because YouTube is one of the largest video sharing websites, every time a PR crisis happens, their response is incredibly heavy-handed, sometimes more than anyone would hope. So let's talk about things like monetization and like what happens with the YouTube side, okay? Now, when I make content, like I told you, I blur everything. I blur as much as I really have to. Sometimes I overextend the blurs. And the reality is, if I give away personal information, or let's say I'm covering something that does involve nude material in it, I have to censor every single aspect. If I show any nude at all, regardless sometimes of even how censored it is, I face channel strikes. So let's look at some of my videos. This is What is Trafficking Hub, the Trafficking Hub investigation. Back then, I'd done an entire investigation, an hour and 11 minutes, into actually looking into what was the Trafficking Hub hubaloo. So basically on Pornhub or Xvideos and plenty of adult websites, there would be cases of underage material uploaded. And there was an entire group, I forget their name exactly, but it was a religious organization, Exodus Cry, that jumped in, basically started this whole campaign. And really, I made a whole video where I wasn't really taking a side. I did an impartial investigation and looked at a whole heck of a lot of controversies centered around adult media and how it's shared around. So when I made this video, it really didn't have any single issue. However, very recently, it started to actually get an age restriction. So YouTube demonetized the video, which of course they did. I mean, I literally said you should demonetize the video. I told them it contained heavy material. This video was never monetized to begin with. But when I released it, it really didn't get into search algorithms whatsoever. Maybe it was because it was genuinely dark material, for sure. But when I recently looked into the video, they actually age restricted it. Now I could appeal this, but frankly, wasn't okay. It was definitely 18 plus. That one I can definitely confirm to you. Now, of course, if we go further into the situation, you can find out that I made other videos like Disney needs to shut down this Club Penguin server, where I covered an actual predator that existed on Club Penguin, a really nasty predator on the Club Penguin private servers. Me and another YouTuber by the name of Kavos actually sat down and covered this on our own independent channels. We had literally been sitting together for days talking to each other about this situation. It was shortly after when we both made our videos and they blew up, Disney stepped in and shut down a lot of these private servers where these kids were actually getting groomed by really sick adults who were operating these servers to begin with. Now, if you look at YouTube's idea of it, despite me covering this video for 42 minutes, censoring basically every single aspect of privacy complaint bullshit where I could potentially have leaked somebody's address, down to images, even interview segments I had to bleep out, YouTube had looked at that video and monetized it after they had manually reviewed the No, maybe this isn't advertiser friendly whatsoever. So I want to say that YouTube isn't totally against the content. So obviously from that example, I want to prove that YouTube is not against this type of darker content that may even target people that are predatory. You know, I think it's good to make content on people that are predators, bringing this information to light so that people can be more aware of it and a problem can be rectified legally and, you know, just
All right, let's go. Let me take that. Time to do this.